Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. I want to start with something that happened to me. Not a story I heard, not a story I read, something I lived. 5 years ago, I trusted a business partner with everything. My savings, my ideas, my time. I gave him the benefit of the doubt every single time he let me down. I told myself he's just stressed. He's just going through something. He'll come around. I kept giving grace to a man who was quietly taking my future apart, piece by piece. By the time I woke up, the company was gone, the money was gone, and so was he. For months, I asked the same question every broken person asks. Why me? Why did I get punished for being loyal? Why did being good cost me everything? And then one night, I read a line that changed the direction of my entire life. It wasn't comforting. It wasn't gentle. It was cold, and it was true. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote that a man who wishes to act entirely up to his professions of virtue soon meets with what destroys him, among so many who are not virtuous. Read that again. Goodness, on its own, is not protection. It is exposure. The world is not designed to reward the kind. It is designed to reward the prepared. That night, I stopped mourning the man I lost my company to, and I started studying the version of me that let it happen. Today, that version is gone. What replaced him is calm, calculated, and impossible to exploit. And in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to hand you the exact shifts that got me there. 7 shifts. Each one will cost you a piece of the person you used to be. Each one will feel uncomfortable, because you are not just learning new behavior, you are burying old weakness. Stay until the end, because the last shift is the one that changes everything before it. Before we start, drop this in the comments. I will not be used again. Shift 1. Stop confusing. Access with loyalty. The first lie you were taught is that the people closest to you deserve the most of you. That is false. Proximity is not proof of loyalty. Some of the most dangerous people in your life are the ones standing closest, because closeness gives them access, and access is what they exploit. Machiavelli understood something most people spend their whole lives avoiding. He wrote that men will always turn out bad unless necessity forces them to be good. In other words, people behave well only when there is a cost for behaving badly. Remove the cost, and you remove the good behavior. This is why the people who take the most from you are usually the ones who face the least consequence from you. You forgave them without a price. You stayed without conditions. You gave them unlimited access to your time, your money, your emotions, and you never once made them earn it back after they broke it. That is not love. That is an open door with no lock. The ruthless version of you understands a brutal truth. Access is currency, and currency should never be given for free. From today, every person in your life must re-earn their place, not because you are bitter, but because you finally understand what Machiavelli understood 500 years ago. People respect what costs them something. They exploit what comes free. Start auditing your circle. Who has access to you that they have not earned in the last 6 months? Who gets your time, your energy, your forgiveness on autopilot? Cut the autopilot. Make them qualify. This is not cruelty. This is architecture. You are rebuilding the structure of your own life so that the wrong people can no longer walk straight through it. Drop this in the comments. My access is earned, not given. Shift 2. Study people. Don't trust them blindly. Here is a sentence that will save you more heartbreak than any other advice you will hear this year. Trust is not a starting point. Trust is a conclusion. Most people do it backwards. They trust first and observe later. They hand someone their loyalty in week 1 and only start paying attention to red flags in year 3, after the damage is already done. By then, it's too late. The pattern is set. The exploitation has already happened multiple times, disguised as misunderstandings. Machiavelli's entire philosophy of power rests on one principle: watch what people do, not what they say. He wrote that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few know what you really are. Words are cheap. promises are cheap. Behavior under pressure is the only real data. This is why the ruthless version of you doesn't rush intimacy. They watch. They notice how someone treats a waiter, how someone talks about their ex, how someone behaves when they don't get their way. They notice these things quietly, without accusation, and they let the pattern speak before they hand out trust. This is not paranoia. Paranoia is emotional and reactive. This is observation, and observation is calm and strategic. You are not looking for reasons to reject people. You are collecting evidence so that when someone eventually shows you who they are, you already saw it coming, and you are never blindsided again. The soft version of you gets destroyed by surprises. The ruthless version of you is never surprised, because they were watching the entire time. Drop this in the comments. I watch actions, not words. Shift 3. Make your emotions private property. There is a specific moment when a person loses power over their own life, and it happens the second they let their face broadcast every feeling they have. If your anger, your hurt, your disappointment, your excitement, all of it plays out on your face and in your voice in real time, you have handed everyone around you a remote control to your behavior. They know exactly what to say to upset you, exactly what to say to calm you down, exactly which buttons produce which reaction. Machiavelli warned rulers about this exact vulnerability. He said that a wise ruler must not keep his word, when keeping it would be to his disadvantage, and the reasons that made him promise it no longer exist. Rulers of nations understood something personal, too. Predictability in emotion is predictability in control. If your enemies, or your manipulators, know your emotional patterns, they can steer you like a car. The shift here is not to stop feeling. Feel everything, fully, in private. But in public, in conflict, in negotiation, in any moment where someone is trying to read you, give them nothing. Let your face stay still. Let your voice stay level. Let your silence do the translating. This drives manipulators insane, because manipulation depends on reaction. A person who provokes you and gets nothing back starts to panic, starts to escalate, and in that escalation, they expose themselves. Meanwhile, you stay exactly where you were, unmoved, unreadable, and completely in control of the only thing that ever mattered, your own response. Your emotions are not public property anymore. They are yours, and you decide who gets to see them and when. Drop this in the comments. My reactions belong to me alone. Shift 4. Let consequences do the talking. Here is where most people break the rule without realizing it. They think justice means explaining to someone exactly why they are wrong. They write the long message. They give the passionate speech. They lay out every grievance in perfect detail, hoping the other person will finally understand and change. It almost never works. Explanations don't change people. Consequences do. Machiavelli was blunt about this. He wrote that men judge more by the eye than by the hand, because everyone can see, but only a few can feel. What he meant is that people believe what they can perceive directly, and words are the cheapest thing to perceive. Actions, especially consequences, are the only thing they cannot argue with. The ruthless version of you stops explaining and starts enforcing. Someone disrespects your time repeatedly? You don't send a paragraph about how that makes you feel. You simply stop being available. Someone lies to you? You don't confront them with evidence and demand an apology. You quietly reduce what they have access to. The lesson is delivered not through your mouth, but through your absence. This terrifies people who are used to talking their way out of consequences, because you've removed the negotiation. There is nothing to argue with when the punishment is simply your withdrawal. No debate, no guilt trip, no manipulation can undo an action that has already happened. Let your boundaries move without warning labels. Let your distance speak the language your words used to waste. This is how the powerful operate. They don't announce the storm. They just are the storm, and by the time you understand it happened, it's already over. Drop this in the comments. My actions are my only argument. Shift 5. Build in private. Reveal nothing early. There is a specific kind of person who tells everyone their plans before they've built anything. They announce the business before it exists. They announce the transformation before they've made a single change. They talk about the goal so much that talking about it becomes a replacement for doing it. Worse than that, every time you reveal your plan early, you give the people around you a chance to interfere. Some will discourage you out of fear disguised as concern. Some will copy you out of envy disguised as inspiration. Some will simply wait to see if you fail, so they can say they knew it all along. Machiavelli's advice to leaders was clear. Fortune favors those who act boldly rather than cautiously, but he also believed strongly in the value of concealment, timing, and surprise. A plan announced is a plan that can be sabotaged. A plan executed quietly is a plan that arrives as a shock, and shock is power. This is the shift where you learn to build in silence, not because you're ashamed of your goals, but because your goals don't need an audience to grow. They need focus. Let people find out what you are doing after it's already done. Let your results speak instead of your announcements. There is a specific kind of confidence that comes from knowing you don't need anyone's validation mid-process, because you already know where this is going. The next time you're tempted to post the plan, tell the friend, explain the vision, stop, sit with it, build instead. Let your silence carry the weight your words used to carry, and let the finished result do the talking when the time is right. Drop this in the comments. I build quietly. I arrive loudly. Shift. 6. Stop negotiating with people who have nothing to lose. This is one of the most underrated dangers in life. You keep trying to reason with people who have absolutely no stake in the relationship, no fear of losing you, and nothing on the line if things fall apart. And you wonder why the negotiation never goes anywhere. Machiavelli built much of his philosophy around the idea of leverage. He believed a ruler is only as strong as what he can threaten to remove. If you have nothing you can take away from someone, you have no real influence over their behavior. This applies to every relationship, not just politics. If someone can walk away from you without losing anything meaningful, guess what? They will treat you exactly like something they can lose without consequence. That's not cruelty on their part. That's basic incentive. Humans respond to stakes, not sentiment. The ruthless version of you stops pleading with people who have nothing to lose and instead changes the stakes entirely. You make your presence, your loyalty, your resources, something valuable enough that losing it actually matters. And if someone still doesn't care, you accept the information they've just given you for free. They were never going to value you no matter what you said, and now you know it without wasting one more month finding out the hard way. Stop arguing with people who have nothing invested. Start investing your energy only where the stakes are real, mutual, and respected. That is not selfish. That is basic strategy, and strategy is what separates the used from the untouchable. Drop this in the comments. I invest where the stakes are real. Shift 7. Become impossible to predict. This is the final shift, the one that makes every other shift permanent. For most of your life, you have been predictable. People know exactly how to upset you, exactly how to guilt you, exactly how to pull you back in after they've hurt you. That predictability is not a personality trait. It's a vulnerability, and everyone around you, consciously or not, has been using it. Machiavelli wrote that it is far safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, because love is held together by a bond that men break whenever it serves their interest. But fear is held by the dread of punishment, which never fails. He wasn't telling people to be cruel. He was telling them to be unpredictable in their strength, so that no one could calculate the cost of crossing them. Unpredictability doesn't mean chaos. It means you stop running the same emotional program every single time. You stop being the guaranteed forgiveness, the guaranteed second chance, the guaranteed reaction. People start to hesitate before testing you, because for the first time, they genuinely don't know what will happen if they do. This is the version of you that gets left alone by manipulators, not because you fought them, but because fighting you became too expensive, too uncertain, too risky. This is the version of you that walks into a room and changes its temperature without saying a word. This is the version of you the world can no longer break, because it no longer has the blueprint. You've spent your whole life being an open book. It's time to become a locked door that only opens when you choose. Drop this in the comments. I am no longer predictable. The world you're living in was never going to reward you for being easy. It was never going to protect you for being agreeable. It respects leverage. It respects boundaries. It respects the people who stopped asking for permission to protect themselves. You've learned to stop handing out access for free. You've learned to watch before you trust. You've learned to keep your reactions private, to let consequences replace explanations, to build in silence, to walk away from people who have nothing to lose, and to become someone no one can predict anymore. None of this happened because you got lucky. It happened because you made a decision. The same decision Machiavelli wrote about 500 years ago, and the same decision my old business partner taught me without meaning to. Goodness without structure gets exploited. Strength without cruelty gets respected. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. And clarity is the one thing this world cannot manipulate. If this gave you something real, hit like, share it with someone who's still giving their power away for free, and subscribe for more of this every week. Drop your final affirmation in the comments. I build my own protection now.